And let me share my screen now. Actually, I was opening MS Paint. I was not speaking. I think that's the reason you were unable to hear me. Okay. Hope you guys are able to hear me now. I hope it's loud and
Yes.
clear. Sounds good. So whenever we have any technology, basically we have some architecture for the technology. So if we talk about Azure architecture, there are two types of architecture that we have. So we can have or we can follow a physical architecture and we can have a logical architecture. We'll talk about both the architectures one by one. Rehan, if you are unable to hear me, like other people are able to hear me fine. So please check your mic settings or headphone settings, or probably you can try to disconnect and reconnect. Yes, Harishankar, any questions over? Hello, Harishankar Gupta, any questions over?
No, it's okay. Mm.
There are few people who are unable to hear me. So guys, those who are unable to hear me, other people are able to hear me fine. So request you to check your sound settings in your mobile or in your laptop or in your device. So please check your sound settings as other people are able to hear me fine. Okay. So we were talking about the physical architecture. Let's talk about the physical architecture first. So in physical architecture, at the very top, we have got something called as regions. Now, what are regions? So what Microsoft has done is Microsoft has deployed good amount of data centers across the globe. Microsoft has deployed good amount of data centers across the globe. They have put some data centers together. Maybe you can say group of data centers. So group of data centers, they call it as one region. They have got huge number of data centers across the globe. They have got huge number of data centers across the globe. And group of data centers, they are referring it as one region. Right? So regions are nothing but group of data centers which are physically located somewhere. Microsoft or Azure has got more than 60 plus regions which is providing services across more than 140 countries. The examples of some regions are East US, West US, South India, UK South, and so on, etc., etc., etc. There are a lot of regions across the globe. So we have got a lot of regions across the globe. After regions, we have got something called as availability zones. After regions, we have got something called as availability zones. Now we need to remember a few points regarding availability zones. We need to remember a few points regarding availability zones. So we need to remember a few points regarding availability zones. What are these points? Point number one, out of 60 plus regions, all the regions do not contain availability zone. Out of 60 plus regions, all the regions do not contain availability zone. There are only few regions that contains availability zone. Now question is how we would be able to figure it out, that which region contain availability zone and which region do not contain availability zone. It is very simple. We can simply go to Google and we can say, and I'm sharing you a link. You can just refer to that link and you can easily figure it out that which region contain availability zone or which region do not contain availability zone. Or maybe you can just type what are the Azure regions that supports availability zone. So when you do that, you will find out this link. And if you scroll on this link, here it clearly says what are the Azure regions which contains availability zones. What are the Azure regions which contains availability zone? So these are the regions which contains availability zone. So out of 60 plus regions, there are only few regions that contain availability zone. Around 15 to 17 regions contains availability zone. I have shared this document or this link on the chat button. So maybe you can save it somewhere. Point number two, any region, so out of 60, only 15 to 7 region contains availability zone. Any region that contain availability zone, any region that contain availability zone has got 3 zones inside it. So it has got zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. So any region that contain availability zone will have 3 zones inside it. For example, out of 60 plus region, let's say East US, East US is one of the region which contain availability zone. Out of 60 plus region, let's say East US is one of the region that contain availability zone. Inside East US, we will have 3 zones: zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. 3 regions contains availability zone. Availability zone means they are physically separated to each other. So usually one zone will be physically separated by a location of around 10 to 15 miles. Right? One zone will be separated to another zone by a distance of around 10 to 15 miles. In one zone, we will have minimum one data center and we can have maximum multiple data centers. So minimum there will be one and maximum we can have multiple data centers within the same zone. Okay. And the last point is, what is the benefit of having an availability zone? So with the help of availability zone, we can achieve better redundancy. Better redundancy can be achieved with the help of availability zone. So with the help of availability zone, we can achieve better redundancy. So these are the benefits of having the availability zone. 3 benefits. Point 1, all the region do not contain it. Point 2, any region that contain availability zone will have 3 zones: zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Point 3, with the help of availability zone, we can achieve better redundancy. After availability zone, we will have something called as data centers. In every region, in a given region, minimum there will be 2 data centers and there can be multiple as well. I'm just writing here multiple. So minimum there will be 2, but we can have multiple data centers as well within a region. And in every data center, we will have multiple racks where actually the resources will be hosted. So that is how the physical architecture of the Azure will look like. That is how the physical architecture of the Azure will look like. Any question, any query regarding physical architecture before we jump with the logical architecture? Any questions, any queries on the physical architecture?
Excuse me, sir. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So since we know that we have more than 60 regions and only few of them, like 15 to 20 regions, have availability zone. So what like availability zone is basically a data center, correct?
In an availability zone, we can have one data center, we may have multiple data centers.
Data center. So the question is like, if we have only 15 or 20 regions have availability zone, then rest of the regions have what?
See, there are two types of region.
Okay.
Let me draw two diagrams which will give you better clarity. So maybe this is a region which do not contain availability zone.
Okay. So what they contain basically?
If you allow me 5 minutes, probably your query will be answered. So let's
Thank
say this is a region which do not contain availability zone. If it do not contain availability zone, we still have data center inside this region, but these data centers will be placed close to each other at a same physical location. So there will be minimum two and there can be multiple data centers and they will be placed at a same physical location, right? For example, if I say that I have a region in Bangalore there will be one physical location where these data centers will be placed close to each other. I am saying maybe I can have a different region which contains availability zone. Let's consider this as a East US region which contains availability zone. So here we will have zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. Right? These are 3 zones and these zones are connected to each other, but there is a distance, there is a physical distance in between these zones. So usually that physical distance is around 10 to 15 miles. Right? Usually the distance is around 10 to 15 miles. It could be more, it could be less. Now in every zone we have got data center. Minimum there will be one and maximum there can be multiple. Right? So these are answers on one data center. So in case of a region which do not contain availability zone, there were data centers and they were placed close to each other. In case of a region which contains availability zone, there are data centers, but they are physically separated to each other by a distance of around 10 to 15. So they are at a different physical location. They are not placed close to each other. Does it answer your query, sir? If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it resolves. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, this is Ashwin here. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes. Please,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So basically, what I understood is in a region, if there are no availability zones, then we have data centers which are very close to each other.
Mhm.
That means there will be no concept of availability zone only in that case. So directly after a region, there will be a data center, and those two data centers are very close to each other
Say
physical data centers.
after region, there will be directly data centers, right?
Okay, thank you. Good.
So
Kushan, you don't need to
sorry.
take. Yeah, please
So,
go ahead, sir.
yeah, please go ahead. Please you go ahead.
Actually, I was just addressing one gentleman. He said he is interested in taking the screenshot. So if you want to take the screenshot, you can do that. Else, you will be getting this recording. And when you get this recording, obviously you will have all these pictures on that particular recording too. So if you want to take a screenshot, you can take it. Else, you will be getting the recording of the session. So you can take it later on as well, or you may refer to the recording as and when required. Yes, sir. I think one gentleman was trying to say something. Please go ahead.
Yes. So in the upper figure, we are saying that we don't have any availability zone, but we have data centers. So obviously data center will be located somewhere. So it is not considered as one availability zone.
No, it is not considered as one availability zone.
Okay. Like that understood that if we have multiple availability zones, if we have three basically cities where they have data centers, then it is understandable. But if they have data centers in one city, then it doesn't recognize as availability zone.
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So after physical architecture, then we have got something called as logical architecture. Right? And since today's day one, we will try to keep it light. So we have got something called as logical architecture. Now, if we want to start the journey with Azure, how can we start the journey with Azure? Let's say if we want to send an email to one of my friend and I want to use Gmail services. So how can I start my journey? So I can start my journey by creating a Gmail account. After creating a Gmail account, it will empower me or it will entitle me to send an email using the Gmail account. Similarly, if we want to start the journey with Azure, we need to have an Azure account. How can we? So either we can create the Azure account, we can go to portal.azure.com, and from there we would be able to create an Azure account. It could be your personal account. So let's say it could be jitin@outlook.com, right? Or jitin@hotmail.com, jitin@gmail.com, rediffmail.com, yahoo.com, whatever email account you want to use. Or it could be your corporate account. Let's say if you're working for Facebook or if you're working for any organization, it could be like this, jitin@facebook.com. So first of all, we need to have an Azure account. First of all, we need to have an Azure account. If we have an Azure account, it doesn't mean that we would be able to create the resources. If we have an Azure account, it does not mean that we would be able to create the resources. So whenever I'll say resources means virtual machines, virtual networks, database, firewall, right? Containers, Kubernetes, etc., etc., etc. There is a very long list. So whenever I say resources, I'm trying to say that we want to create these things, right? Now, just because you have got the Azure account, does not mean that you would be able to create the resources. In order to create the resources, you need something called as subscription. In order to create the resources, you need something called as subscription. Subscription can also be considered as a billing boundary. Billing boundary means whatever resources. So let's say if I'm creating a database inside the subscription, then where the bill for the database would be going. The billing of the database would be going to this particular subscription. So it can also be considered as a billing boundary. Whatever resources we create inside this subscription, the billing of those resources would be going to this respective subscription. Right? Sometimes people ask, can we have multiple subscription inside one Azure account? Answer is yes. We may have multiple subscriptions inside one Azure account. That is possible. So let's say if we want to create something, we need to have a subscription. Maybe let's say I've got a subscription number. Now inside subscription or after subscription, we need to create something called as resource group. Now resource group is like a logical container. A resource group is like a logical container which contains the metadata of the resources. Right? It is like a logical container which contains the metadata of the resources. If I give you a very layman terms example, let's say when we guys were in schools, let's say when we were in class 10 standard. So what the school has done? school has logically divided students into different sections, right? Maybe class 10th A, 10th B, 10th C. So what does section represents? Nothing, but logically they have divided students into different sections. Similarly, resource group is nothing but a logical container which contains the metadata of the resources. Right? In order to create a resource group, subscription is required. Without having a subscription, not possible to create a resource group. Let's say we have a subscription, then we would like to create a resource group. Whenever we would like to create a resource group, we have to give it a name. Maybe I'm giving it a name RG1, resource group 1. You can give it any name of your choice. RG1, my resource group for the HR team, resource group for client number 1, right? So we can give it any name of our choice. If we are deploying a resource group, we need to define the region, in which region we would like to deploy the resource group. Few minutes back in the physical architecture, we discussed we have got more than 60 plus regions. So whenever we will be deploying a resource group, we need to define the region where we would like to deploy this resource group. Right? So let's say I would like to deploy the resource group in East US region. So basically physical architecture and logical architecture, they go hand in hand. Like they go in parallel, they go hand in hand. So now we are able to deploy the resource group. And finally, after this, we would be able to deploy the resources. So when I say resources means virtual machines, virtual networks, database, firewall, container, Kubernetes, these are all resources. So in order to deploy a resource, subscription is required. By the time you do not have an active subscription, you would not be able to create a resource group. You would not be able to create a resource. In order to create a resource group is also required. G1, which is in East US. And then let's say you are trying to create a virtual machine. Then you have to give it a name. Maybe I'm trying to create virtual machine number 1. And then you have to define a region. Now I am deploying this VM number 1 in RG number 1. And RG number 1 is in East US. Then when I'm deploying the VM number 1, I'm deploying it inside this RG. Why is it asking me for the region again? It clearly means that the region of the resource and the region of the resource group may or may not be same. VM may be in East US, VM might be running in South India. VM might be running in South India. So region of resource and region of resource group may be different as well. That is also possible. Recommendation is by the time you do not have a requirement, we should keep the region of resource and resource group to be same. By the time we do not have to meet a business requirement, we should keep the region of the resource and region of the resource group to be same. So basically, what is a resource group? It is nothing but a logical container which contains the metadata of the resources. It is nothing but a logical container which contains the metadata of the resources. Inside one resource group, we can have multiple resources. Resources can be of same type, resources can be of different type. Say we have VM1, VM2, virtual network 1, right? And let's say database 1. So inside this resource group, we have got 4 resources, 2 virtual machines, 1 virtual network and 1 database. Resources can be of same type. VM1 and VM2 belong to the same category. Both of them are virtual machines. Resources can be of different types. Virtual network and database, it's a different category of resource. Resource can be in the same region. RG1 is in East US, VM1 can be in East US. Resources can be in a different region. It could be in West US. VNet1 could be in South India. And database could be in UK South. Database could be in the UK South. So resources can be in the same region, resources can be in a different region. Resources can be of same type, resources can be of different types. Any question, any query, anything so far?
Yeah, this is Soma from here. Able to hear?
Mhm.
Any restriction for the creation of the resource for the subscription? Suppose you said actually lot of resources we can create it actually. Any limitation for the subscription? Suppose I have created the one subscription. So as you said in the screenshot, VM, 2 VM, 3 VM, and 1 DB actually. Any restriction for creation of the resource under the?
Absolutely, there will be one. Every subscription will have a physical limitation. Every subscription will have a physical limitation. So once you go inside the subscription, now I'm going to the Azure portal. So once you go inside the subscription, there is a section called as usage and quotas. You can go to usage and quotas, and from there you would be able to check this. So let's say this is my Azure account, which is coming up. So it is asking me to verify my identity. Okay, let me log into a different account. It's taking a long time. So I'm unable to receive a message on my phone. So let me cancel this. What you are saying that is possible or that is there, and for that we need to go to a subscription, and inside a subscription we need to go to the usage and quotas. So from there we would be able to check it. We try once again. If not, I'll go to a different Azure account. Just lobby Google. Let me log into the Azure account. It is sending me a message and I'm unable to receive that. So I'm logging to a different Azure account. So that is how we log into the Azure account. We go to portal.azure.com, right? We log in with we enter the Azure account and the password, and that's how the Azure portal looks like. Now, just to answer gentlemen questions, so how many VMs you can create? For that, you can go to subscription. When you go to subscription on the left hand side, so first of all, you need to click on the subscription. You may have multiple subscriptions. Let's say I'm interested in this particular subscription. So when you go to the respective subscription, on the left hand side, you will see something called as usage and quotas, right? So here you would be able to see that how many VMs you can create, how many database you can create. So they have defined it. So it will populate here in a moment and you would be able to see. For example, if you see storage accounts, I have created 3 as of now and I can create 250 in ECS. Sir, I hope that answers your query that how much resources or what type we would be able to create in which region. Does it answer your query, sir? Okay, I think gentleman might be on mute. Okay, so let's proceed further.
Yeah. Sir, this one actually like 250 is the maximum use of resource in that for that particular subscription. Means that many number of resources we can create.
No, no,
You
no,
have shown, right?
no. That many number of
Uh,
storage account we can create.
Storage accounts.
Only one particular
Oh,
resource, and that too, only in one region, only in East
only
US,
in one tower. Okay.
right? You might be able to
So,
create 250 storage accounts in West US as well.
okay. This is for only this particular subscription, right?
This is for only this
Which you have
particular
chosen.
subscription. Right?
Okay, got it.
Any other question, guys, from the logical architecture so far? Okay. Now,
Is there any resource group or different type of resource group or just have a resource group in the category just like the resource group?
just the resource. So there are no different
Okay.
types of resource. It's like a container where
Okay,
you will
okay.
be putting the resources.
Okay, because I heard like classic resource group also was there, so that's
Okay,
why.
there are two models in Azure. There are two models in Azure. One is classic model and one is ARM, which people also refer as Azure Resource Manager model. Azure Resource Manager model. There are two models in Azure. Classic model was an old model. Classic model was the old model. Now, any customer who is starting with Azure or who's operating on Azure, most of them are following the ARM model. Right? So if you are following an old model and if you'll be creating a resource group, it will be a classic resource group. If you are following a new model, it will be ARM resource group. So these are two different types of model in Azure.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Then above subscription, we have one more hierarchy, which we called as management group. Management group is above in hierarchy as compared to the subscription. What can we achieve with the help of management group? We can achieve two things with the help of management group. We can apply policies at scale and we can manage multiple subscription. Now, let's say in your organization, you are looking for some sort of a compliance or you are looking for some sort of a governance. How would you achieve it? We can achieve that with the help of policies. In on-prem, we have something called as group policy. In Azure, there is no concept of group policy. In Azure, we have something called as Azure policies. So we can apply policies with the help of management group. Which policies? We would be able to apply Azure policies with the help of management group at a large scale. At a large scale, we would be able to apply it. And with the help of management group, we can manage multiple subscriptions. Let me show you a diagram which will give you a clear picture around this. Let's say Google is one organization. Okay? Maybe we can consider Google this as a root, or we can say as a tenant root management. Now within Google, there can be multiple departments. Within Google, there can be multiple departments. So let's say we are considering 3 departments. There could be more or there could be less. So let's say we have got HR management group. Just give me a moment, guys. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, so let's say there is one called HR management group. Second one could be marketing management group, and third one could be operations management group, right? So one point is clear from here, we can have management group inside a management group. Tenant root group was also the management group. Inside that we have got 3 management group. Again, maybe within HR management group. Now let's say HR team is located at majorly at 2 places. HR team is located majorly at 2 places. So maybe within HR management group, we can have HR US management group, and we can have HR India management group, right? So how many levels we can have it? If we exclude tenant root management group, we can go up to 6 level. HR management group can be considered as first level. HR US management group can be considered a second level. So we can have management group inside a management group up to 6 levels. And if we include tenant root management group, then we can go up to 7 levels, right? Then we can go up to 7 levels. So we can have management group inside a management group. And inside a management group, then we may have multiple subscriptions. So management group would be managing multiple subscriptions. So this is subscription 1, subscription 2, subscription 3, subscription 4, and subscription 5. So now if we have a look at this diagram, how many subscriptions are being managed by HR US management group? It is managing 2 subscriptions. Subscription number 1 and subscription number 2. How many subscriptions are being managed by HR India management group? It is managing 3 subscriptions. Subscription 3, 4, 5. How many are being managed by HR management group? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. HR management group is managing 5 subscriptions. How many are being managed by tenant root management group? It might be managing 20 odd subscriptions. Maybe 5 for the HR management group, 7 for the marketing management group, and 8 for the operations management group. So what can we achieve with the help of management group? We can manage multiple subscription. We would be able to manage multiple subscription, right? Second thing that we can do is we can apply policies at scale. Second thing that we can do is we can apply the policies at scale. Now let's say within Google, you would like to apply some policy and you want the policy to be applied everywhere across the globe. You want that policy to be applied everywhere across the globe. Where will you apply the policy? You'll simply apply the policy at a tenant root management group. If we apply, let's say we have applied this policy number 1 here. If we apply the policy at tenant root management group, policies will be inherited down the line. It will automatically be applicable to HR management group, marketing management group, operations management group, HR US management group, HR India management group, subscription 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 policy will be applicable everywhere. Maybe there is a different policy. There is a policy number 2 that we only want to apply for HR US management group. We'll apply the policy number 2 only to HR US management group. It will only be applicable to HR US management group and would only be applicable to subscription number 1 and subscription number 2. Or maybe there is a policy which we only want to apply for subscription number 2. Then we may apply the policy at subscription number 2. So what we can achieve with the help of management group, we can even apply policies at scale. Is it possible?
Sir, I have a question. So can we have a subscription at HR management group level?
Okay, basically you're saying, can we have a subscription here inside this HR management group? Am I right? Maybe inside
Yes.
inside HR management group, we can have HR US management group, HR India management group, and we can have a subscription number 6, let's say, right?
Yes.
Possible, absolutely possible. We can
Okay.
even have a subscription directly inside this tenant route management group as well. Here also we can have a subscription.
Okay, I
Possible.
see.
Sir, what is a tenant?
What is a tenant? We'll talk about it. So actually, when we will be discussing Azure Active Directory, then we will talk about what is tenant and how do we get this tenant route management group. So what is tenant? We will talk when we will be discussing the Azure AD. Probably maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll be talking about the same, and then you will have a fair clarity. What is tenant? What is Azure AD?
One more question. So we can, how will create a HR management, marketing management, operation management under tenant? We know we can create a subscription, right? But not sure for the,
If you want to
tenant
create any
account.
management group, you can just type your management group.
Okay.
When you type your management group, by default, you will see here tenant route management group. By default, you will see here tenant route. I hope you can see here tenant route management group.
Yes, yes.
Now, if you want to create something inside this, so if you want to create something inside this, maybe you can click on create. Now, let's say we want to create a management group with a name marketing management group. Okay. So I'm giving it a name marketing MG. There is a display group ID and a display name. Maybe I'm keeping it same and I can click submit. So this marketing management group will now be created inside tenant route management group, right? If you want to create something inside HR management group, then you will go to HR management and you will click on here. Maybe let's say inside this, you want to create HR US management group. Okay. So you will be creating it inside this. That's how we can create.
Okay, got it, got it. But how can we assign the subscription for, you were saying the each group have a subscription, we can assign or allocate the different subscriptions, right?
Right. For that, you need to have multiple subscriptions that we can do it.
Oh, okay, okay.
By default, when you add a subscription will be a part of tenant route management group. By
Okay.
default, when you add a subscription, it will be a part of tenant route management group. What you can do, you can move the subscription from one management group to another management group. So what you will be doing, let's say we have a subscription number 5, or let's say we have a subscription number 7, which belongs here. You can move this subscription, let's say inside marketing management.
Okay.
So right now it is a part of tenant route management group, but we can move it to the marketing management group. So we can move the subscription from one management group to another management group. Let's say you have a subscription number 5, which belongs to HR India management group. Maybe this subscription as well, you want to move inside marketing management group. We can do that as well.
Okay, okay, got it. Yeah.
We can also move the entire management group. Right now, this HR India management group is a part of HR management group. We can make it a part of operations management group as well. Just like we can move the subscription from one management group to another management group. Similarly, we can move the entire management group as well from one management group to another management group. Right now, this HR India management group is a part of HR management group. We can make it a part of operations management group, HR India management. But when we move the management group, subscriptions will move along with the same. So if we are
This
moving
is
the
just
management,
like this is just like a directory structure. What you're talking about, how the directory structure of if you talk about the Linux directory structure, you have the root at the top, and we have the folders under it, slash slash slash, something to do with the same concept. When then you move the directory structure that is managing from one to the others, the policy also takes along with it, isn't it?
right? Absolutely. So Darshan, we would not be able to move a subscription from one account to another account. We can move the subscription from one tenant to another tenant. It is possible. So from one tenant to another tenant, we would be able to move the subscription, but not from one Azure account to another Azure account.
So this tenant root management group or something, if we create this management groups, it will not be charged, right? Means only at the subscription level it will be billing is possible. It's a billing boundary you told.
Right.
So how if we create any number n number of management groups, that won't be charged.
No, that
Means
won't be charged.
because it is above subscription.
It is above subscription. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. Like, so what is the best practice when we create a first Azure account for any company? So should we create a management group and then create a subscription? So what is the best practice?
It may vary from different organizations to organizations. If in case you are working for a big enterprise, by default, they will have a management group structure. So if you will be adding a new subscription, then yes, we would be able to put a subscription into a particular management group. And if in case required, we would be able to move it to a different management group. So best practices, we should definitely have management group, and inside that we need to have a subscription. Reason being, with the help of management group, let's say you have 50 subscriptions and you want to apply the same policy. If you do not have a management group, you will be applying the policies one by one. If we have a management group, we would be able to apply the policies maybe to 20 subscriptions at a single go. So best practice would be to have a management group, and then inside that we can have a subscription.
Thank you so much.
Okay, one gentleman has a question: why do we have multiple subscriptions? Just to bifurcate the billing, just to have a more logical architecture. Reason being, let's say you have only one subscription. HR are creating resources inside the subscription. Marketing is also creating resources inside the subscription. Operations is also creating the resources inside the subscription. Development resources are inside the same subscription. Production and environment are into the same subscription. It will be creating a lot of havoc. So what we can do, we can have maybe 2 subscriptions for development, 1 subscription for testing, and 3 subscriptions for production. 1 subscription for HR, 1 subscription for marketing, 2 subscriptions for production. That is the reason we would like to have a different subscriptions. Binu, I hope that answers your query. Why do we need to have a multiple subscriptions? And Sudarshan, we will be doing migration lab as well in this particular course. So answer is yes.
So, from certification perspective, one question. So this is AZ303. I have no knowledge on A0104 or even the fundamentals. So how do we go about it? Does it cover
I think,
all the?
yeah, I think we are covering from a very root level, right?
Okay.
Considering many people who have joined, they do not have any expertise in Azure. So we are covering it from a very root level. If you go through the recording well, if you do the labs well, if you read the documentation well, you will be in a good position to crack the certification. Does it answer your query, sir?
Yes, yes. What I understand is it covers the fundamentals to up to AZ303.
Right. Okay, so that is all for mine for today. So to everyone, I'm sharing you the Amit's phone number. He is the right guy who would be able to help you out with the enrollment process for this training, right? So you may reach out to Amit and he would be able to help you out in the enrollment process for this particular training, right? So let me just enlarge this. Just give me a moment. Maybe you can take a screenshot or you can take a picture of it. Or I'm putting this into the chat as well. Yeah, I can provide you a dump as well for the certification. Once the training will be over, we'll be able to provide you a dump as well.
Sir, I have a question. So are we covering AZ304 labs as well?
Unfortunately not. Easy 304 will not be a part of this. Reason being, if we put 303 and 304 together, it will be a very long course. So
Oh,
we will be covering 303 only, not 304. But if you want, I can share the labs with you. You can practice them on your own. That is what best I